Hi folks, G3 here, and welcome to another instalment of my journey to go green. In today's episode, I'm going to be removing my old compost bins that have degraded, and I'm going to be creating some bespoke new ones out of second-hand pallets that I've bought. The existing ones I built, probably 3 years ago, I think now, maybe a little bit longer than that. And I had built them out of decking boards. I'd bought some 90 centimetre square decking boards and some brackets and other wood, and I'd put them together to create a series of 3 bins. Now these bins were also acting as a retainer for the terraced area behind, so they were keeping the soil back. Now over time that soil has shifted, and so that has caused the bins to be misshapen, get out of alignment, and they're actually really showing quite signs of degradation now. And also because the wood is in contact with the soil, it has also degraded and started rotting, and it's starting to fall apart. And so I really need to remove those. Now I've taken the decision that we're going to completely remove them, put the terracing back to terracing, so I will be getting soil in there and planting some plants in there. I'm going to be using an area of concrete that's next to the sheds that is big enough to support 3 compost bins side by side. I've gone and bought some old pallets, and I'm going to be cobbling those together to make 3 separate bins. Now it is possible to do a compost bin on concrete. What you have to do is to make sure that you've got some starter in there that is from natural soil that will have some organisms in there. It needs to be accessible so that things like worms can get in, and so using the used pallet system that has gaps in it and access points, and also it's going to be placed near some soil, there will be access points for worms and other creatures to get in, and that will help break it down. And I will just need to make sure that I am turning the compost into the adjacent bin reasonably regularly to help speeding up the process. And the fact that these pallets have gaps in them for air to get in and help circulate and increase the rate of degradation, that will just help speed the process up. The stages that we're going to be going through will be to clear the ground, to get some of the bits and pieces out of the way, put together the pallets. We are going to use some brackets that I've bought to strap the 3 main panels at the back. I'm going to be putting brackets both top and bottom on the back to hold those pallets together. I've got angle brackets so that I can then put 2 pallets at the ends, and more angle brackets. There's going to be 2 in the middle, and that way we're going to be creating the 3 bays. All in total it's going to take 7 pallets. Now I've gone and bought some European sized used pallets. Now these are 800 millimeters by 900 millimeters, so pretty similar sizing to what I had in place with the current bins. These are slightly smaller than the UK size pallets. Now those I think they're 1.2 meters by 0.9 meters if memory serves me right, so they were bigger. Didn't quite have enough room for that, so that's why I've got the European pallets. And what it cost me was approximately £140 to have those pallets delivered here. So cost wise it's around about, £18 a pallet. I had a pack of 8 that I bought, so I've got 1 extra, and they were delivered on a smaller pallet as well. So there's extra wood I've got there that I'm going to be able to use to create the shuttering at the front to put the wood down. And the coach screws that I've got for this are very easy to use because they have a hex on the end, so that I can just use an attachment with my electric drill so that I can just screw those in quite simply. And from memory I think those were 80 millimeter long coach screws, so I've got reasonable length ones that will fit through the brackets. So in theory this should be relatively straightforward. There we go. We've got some rather substantial compost bins in place now, created from pallets. I didn't record us building this because I didn't particularly want to get in the way while we're doing it. My parents were here to help me, so many hands make light work, which was great. But we just wanted to get it done and get it sorted. So I'll show you what we've done with the structure and how we created it. And you can see obviously it's now in front of the old bins that are behind that I still need to take out. But what we've done is we've got a series of 7 pallets. 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 on this end, and I used angled brackets on the inside. Now these were metal brackets that cost me around about, I think they were about £2.60 each. They're quite substantial. And I also got some coach bolts that were 60 millimeters in length, so reasonable size. They've got like a hex top, and then you use a ratchet to get them in, but they're very substantial. They are a lot easier to put in than using a screw. So I've got corner junctions in each corner, plus at the bottom as well. I've got some straight brackets on the outside that I've got the coach bolts in as well. So I've got those on either end, top and bottom, and between the two pallets in the middle. So that's quite substantial anyway. But we did also put some bracing wood on the back, which we got from the spare pallet I had. It was cheaper to buy 8 than it was to get 7 individually. So I had a job lot of 8 delivered on another pallet rather than buying 7 that I needed. And so we broke those up to get the extra pieces. I also had an old decking board that I had left over from when I made my raised beds a few years back. So I've gone and put that on the top between them all to help give extra strength. Because one of the things that I found previously with these is because I didn't have a lot of strength at the front, there wasn't really a huge amount holding these things together. It could easily get misshapen, which then means you've got difficulty with getting the boards in the front to retain the soil, because these move and you have variable size, so it's not ideal. So that was one of the learnings from this that I've put into place. We've then gone and tacked on some wood on the front and on the side of these pallets in here and on the front to create a groove at the front of these, and then cut pieces of wood to length. So these are ones we've taken from the old compost bin and cut them down, and the idea being is you then are able to slot these in the slots and it will go down, and you can have a variable height then, and you can retain the compost and the plant material behind those. But generally it went really easily. We got the main structure and the site cleared in, it was 3.5 hours I think in total, and that wasn't going particularly quickly. We were just taking our time and making sure that it was done right. The process of using the brackets and the coach bolts meant that it was very straightforward, very easy to do. I've used that method before when I made the raised beds, and that was such a simple process using those coach bolts rather than screws or nails. It's so much easier. We have nailed these boards in just because it was quite straightforward. There's thin bits of wood and bang, 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 put those in. And I have gone and put a couple of bits of wood to block gaps, because there are gaps in the pallets, as you would expect. I'm not too fussed about things coming out of those gaps. That's not a huge problem for me. It needs air and it needs access for creatures because it is on the concrete, so there is the possibility for worms and things to get in via those, so that's not a problem. I do have some wire that I could put on the outside if it really does start to become a problem. I will put some wire on the outside here using some staples, and then that won't be a problem if it is. But I don't think it's going to be an issue for me. So these are really strong. The pallets were perfect size. They are in good quality. I got good quality ones. You can select the quality of the pallets that you're getting from this supplier. I'll include a link down below to this particular pallet supplier. I say I think it was £145 for delivered 8 pallets on a pallet, which I think was a pretty good price. The brackets themselves and the coach bolts, I think that was probably about another £50 that I paid for those. They weren't cheap, but I wanted to get things to make this a straightforward process and easy, because I mean these are really easy to do. So that was my reasoning behind that. But I'm really pleased. This is a good addition. So now we're going to be taking down the compost bins from behind, removing those, and then we've got some old concrete and material from steps that we changed at the front of the house, replaced because they were degraded. Big lumps that we removed from the site, and we're going to be rebuilding the front of this terraced area so that the soil can then be backfilled and we can start doing planting on there. So that'll be the next step. There we go. Changing the compost bins. Really pleased. Well, there you go, folks. That was replacing the existing compost bins with some new ones that are made out of used pallets. I hope you found it useful. If you did, then please click the like button down below, and if you think you've got anything that you want to add, any comments as to how I've done it or how you've got your compost bins set up, whether you've done the same process, then please leave your comments down below. I'd really love to hear from you. If you haven't done so already, then why not subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notified when I load up a new video. Well, thanks for watching, folks. Until next time, bye!